So we're here today to share some important holiday tips for travel this holiday season at Lansing Capital Region Airport. First, I'd like to recommend to everyone, please make sure that you arrive early for travel. Second, I'd like to recommend that you pack smart. And what do I mean by packing smart? Starting with an empty bag, making sure that you know what contents are actually in your carry-on bag. So if you happen to forget that pocket knife, which is prohibited by the way, you take that out before arriving at the airport. Additionally, here at Lansing, you'll use your ID as your boarding pass. So when you go into the passenger queue, you'll be handing that ID to one of our transportation security officers. You'll also need to understand that if you haven't traveled out of Lansing in quite some time, we have computed tomography x-rays. And with those x-rays, the key difference is that the majority of items are not taken out of your carry-on. So your laptops, iPads, large electronics actually get to stay inside of the carry-on when submitted through the x-ray. And each one of your carry-on items actually goes into a bin. Additionally, you want to make sure that when you're traveling that you listen to the instructions that are being offered by our security officers. So if there's specific items, requests they have, just make sure that you ask clarifying questions if you don't understand those directions. I also want to advise you that we have a program called TSA Cares. With TSA Cares, if you or your group needs additional assistance getting through the screening process, we have officers that are specially trained that are referred to as passenger support specialists. And so what they can do is they can meet you prior to arriving at the checkpoint and actually help guide you through the screening process. And then also we have an expedited screening program called TSA PreCheck, which has been in existence for quite some time. And enrollment is for 5 years at a cost of $78. With the program, you receive expedited screening. You get to keep your light jackets and coats on and footwear on. Additionally, wait times for TSA PreCheck are generally under 10 minutes compared to the standard screening wait times, which we have a goal of under 30 minutes. So there's terrific value with TSA PreCheck if you're interested in that program.
Questions?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So being that this is one of the smaller airports, I mean, I'm assuming you all still get quite a few travelers coming through. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So it's normal to have an increase in travel volume during the holiday period. We work closely with the airport and airlines if there are additional flights that are added to make sure that we have adequate resources in place. And we really do that through overtime. And then additionally, we'll also have some of our administrative staff provide support as well.
So do you all generally see, well, like you just said, it's higher during the holidays?
Yes.
And then do you all usually have to do like more staffing, I'm assuming, and all of that?
So typically here at Lansing, an average day is really 250 to 300 passengers a day. And so with the increase in holiday volume, we might expect to get an additional 100 or 150 more passengers. And so that's where we'll go back to looking and assessing the staff that we have normally scheduled and then adding overtime. So we can handle if we need to start early or we need to extend later in the afternoon to cover the operation.
You said 250 to 300. How important is it still for people to be, you and I talked about showing up early. How important is that still with that traffic flow for the holidays?
I think it's extremely important to arrive early. If you're traveling domestically, 2 hours. If you're going international, 3 hours. And the reason being is that you want to prepare for the unexpected. So, you know, when we talk about arriving early, you have to commute to the airport. So you don't know if weather might be impacting you. You don't know if there's any traffic delays, construction. Also just being prepared to when you actually get to the airport. You know, making sure that you are checked in, making sure that if there's any last second things that you have to do to prepare for travel, that you can do that so the experience is really stress-free. So I would strongly recommend still arriving early.
And during this holiday period, which specific days are anticipated to be the busiest, and so folks can plan accordingly?
So during this holiday period, there's really 3 key dates that we are targeting. December 21st, which is this Thursday, December 29th, and actually New Year's Day. And so we expect for travel to be up over that period. So if you're flying out, just make sure to arrive early. Make sure that you reference TSA.gov for any questions that you may have on potential prohibited items. Obviously, we know pocket knives can't go. Another one, of course, is firearms. Firearms are not permitted through the screening checkpoint, but it is important to note that they are permitted in checked baggage as long as they meet the following requirements. They must be declared to the airline in a locked, hard-sided container. So I always like to put that reminder out there because that's something that we see across the nation at times. And most of the time when we get feedback on the reason why, most travelers indicate that they forgot.
Well, I guess you might have already said this earlier, but so the enhancements that you all have, is that like 24/7, or are there some new things that you all are doing for specifically for the holiday travels?
So when you talk about enhancements, are you talking about resource support?
Sorry, yes.
Like
Resource support,
technology?
yes, the technology.
Maybe, yeah,
that's
just-
what I meant.
I'd like to see too.
Yeah, so with the upgrades in technology, the technology has been in place for over a year here at Lansing. So that is not something that has been done for the holiday period. It's more of something that we've been doing to make sure that we provide the best and most effective security. One other key tip for travelers is when you actually come into the security checkpoints, just listening to our officers' instructions. They are here to provide an effective security service. So just making sure that, we want to maintain a calm and respectful environment. So if you have questions or concerns, you can ask one of our officers. If there's a situation that you're just not sure about, you can always ask for a supervisor. We refer to them as STSOs, but rest assured, our workforce is working diligently to make sure that you have a safe and enjoyable trip through Lansing Capital Region International Airport.